They told you nuts are heart healthy, but for men over 60, that advice could quietly be destroying your erections, clouding your memory, and even damaging your kidneys. Yes, the wrong nut, one you likely eat every day, might be silently fueling inflammation, disrupting your medications, and weakening your strength where it matters most. I'm Dr. Elena. For over 30 years, I've helped older men restore their energy, their clarity, and their confidence naturally. And what I've seen again and again is this: the food you think is helping you may actually be holding you back. Here's the shocking truth: four of the most popular nuts in America, ones that fill your trail mix, your kitchen cabinet, and even your so-called healthy snacks, may be making you tired, foggy, and sexually disconnected. But there's good news, because there are four other nuts backed by real science that can do the opposite. These nuts support blood flow, boost testosterone, sharpen your brain, and even help you sleep through the night. And today, I'll walk you through all eight: the four you should never touch again, and the four you need to start eating daily. And near the end, I'll reveal the one nut I consider most dangerous for senior men's health. It may be in your pantry right now. Before we dive in, make sure to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another senior health tip that could change your life. And if this message speaks to you, type 1 in the comments. Let's begin with the first nut you should never eat again after 60. It's found in nearly every pantry, marketed as a healthy snack. And yet behind the label, it's quietly fueling inflammation, raising blood pressure, and interfering with your medications. That nut is the peanut. 1. Peanuts, the silent inflammation time bomb. I'll never forget the day George came into my office. He was 72, a proud Vietnam vet, still walking a few miles every morning, still strong in spirit. But he sat across from me with a puzzled look. His joints ached more than usual, his energy had dropped off, and his blood pressure had crept up without explanation. "Dr. Elena," he said, "I'm eating healthy. I snack on peanuts every day instead of chips. Those are supposed to be good, right?" That moment stopped me, because George was doing what so many good men over 60 do: trusting labels, trusting old habits. But the truth is, peanuts aren't nuts at all. They're legumes. And because they grow underground, they're highly vulnerable to aflatoxins, mold-based toxins that you can't see, smell, or taste. These toxins have been linked to liver damage, immune suppression, and even cancer. And for seniors whose detox systems naturally slow with age, that buildup becomes a real and silent threat. Peanuts are also known to trigger chronic low-grade inflammation. That means joint pain, brain fog, cardiovascular stress, all the things George was experiencing. And while they may taste harmless, most commercial peanuts are roasted in unhealthy oils and coated with salt, which only worsens blood pressure and heart risk. To make matters worse, peanuts can interact with medications, especially blood thinners, by affecting vitamin K absorption and liver metabolism. George was shocked, but when we removed the peanuts, added the right alternatives, and gave his body space to heal, everything started to shift. His joints felt better, his pressure lowered, his focus returned. 2. Cashews, the blood sugar and kidney stone trap. A few years ago, I had a patient named Linda. She was 70, full of warmth, always smiling, and the kind of grandmother who loved baking for her grandkids. But lately, she'd been feeling off, bloated, fatigued, and confused by unexpected blood sugar spikes. She wasn't diabetic, but her numbers were climbing, and she had no idea why. During our consultation, she mentioned one thing again and again: cashews. She added them to her granola, her smoothies, even her so-called healthy snack bars. "They're good for you, right?" she asked. I see this so often. Cashews wear the mask of a health food, but for older adults, they come with hidden dangers. Per ounce, cashews contain about 9 grams of carbohydrates, high for a nut, and they have a surprisingly strong glycemic impact. For someone like Linda, who was already in the pre-diabetic range, those daily spikes were quietly stressing her system. And here's the part most people don't realize: cashews are high in oxalates. These compounds bind to calcium in the gut, reducing absorption and raising the risk of kidney stones, which are not only painful, but also more dangerous with age. On top of that, cashews can be a choking hazard, especially for seniors with slower swallowing reflexes. Their soft, curved shape makes them deceptively risky. And unless processed correctly, raw cashews contain urushiol, the same chemical found in poison ivy, which must be neutralized through heat and chemical treatments, often stripping away essential nutrients. When Linda replaced cashews with safer, more functional options, her digestion improved, her sugar stabilized, and she felt lighter and more energized. It was a simple shift, but it made all the difference. 3. Macadamia, the rich man's fat bomb. Carl was one of those patients who did almost everything right. A retired engineer in his late 60s, he had a sharp mind, a disciplined lifestyle, and a quiet sense of pride in staying healthy. But over the course of a few months, something started to change. His weight crept up slowly. His blood pressure followed. He felt unusually sluggish after meals. When I reviewed his diet, he chuckled and said, "Dr. Elena, I don't eat junk, just a few macadamia nuts each night. They're supposed to be good for the heart, right?" It's a common belief, and I understood where he was coming from. Macadamia nuts have that smooth, buttery taste that feels almost luxurious, like the perfect healthy indulgence. But the reality is, they pack an enormous amount of calories and fat into each tiny handful. Just 1 ounce, barely a small scoop, contains nearly 200 calories and 22 grams of fat. That's enough to silently derail the metabolism of any man over 60, especially if physical activity has slowed down. It's what I call invisible weight gain, not from overeating, but from underestimating. But it goes deeper. Macadamias are high in saturated fat, which can raise LDL cholesterol and place extra strain on an aging heart. They're also dense and hard, posing real problems for seniors with dental work. And for those with gallbladder issues, known or hidden, these high-fat nuts can provoke painful attacks, even emergencies. When Carl cut them out, the difference was night and day. His energy came back. The scale stopped creeping. His post-meal discomfort vanished. It wasn't about guilt. It was about awareness. 4. Pine nuts, the medication disruptor. Several years ago, a thoughtful patient named Ruth walked into my office with a concern I'll never forget. She was 74, sharp as a tack, careful with her routines, and deeply committed to staying healthy. But something had changed. "Dr. Elena," she said, "everything tastes like metal. Water, food, even tea. It's been weeks." At first, we went through the usual suspects: medications, hydration, even vitamin deficiencies. But then she mentioned something she'd recently added to her diet: homemade pesto loaded with pine nuts. That's when everything clicked. Ruth was experiencing a condition known as pine mouth, a strange metallic taste distortion that can last for days or even weeks after eating certain varieties of pine nuts. Now, while that may not sound dangerous on its own, here's the hidden danger. When food and water suddenly taste unpleasant, many seniors unconsciously start eating and drinking less. For someone already at risk of unintentional weight loss or dehydration, this can lead to a rapid decline in strength, immunity, and even mood. But pine nuts don't stop there. They contain compounds that may interfere with liver enzymes responsible for metabolizing many common medications, especially drugs for blood pressure, cholesterol, and mental health. That means your prescriptions might not work the way they're supposed to, or worse, they could cause unexpected side effects. Pine nuts also go rancid quickly, and when their delicate fats oxidize, they can actually increase inflammation, not reduce it. On top of all that, they're small, slippery, and for those with dry mouth or weaker swallowing reflexes, they pose a real choking hazard. When Ruth eliminated the pesto, her appetite returned, her energy improved, and the metallic taste finally faded. Sometimes it's the smallest changes that make the biggest difference. And now that you know the 4 nuts silently harming your health, let's flip the script, because there are 4 powerful healing nuts that I recommend to almost every man over 60. Ones that boost testosterone, restore memory, lower blood pressure, and even help you sleep better at night. 1. Brazil nuts, the thyroid and testosterone igniter. I still remember Jack like it was yesterday. A retired firefighter in his late 60s, he came into my office feeling completely burned out. His words were simple but heavy. "Dr. Elena, I'm tired. I've lost my edge." His energy was gone, his memory was slipping, and the fire he once carried in his body and in his bedroom had dimmed. We ran a full blood panel, and one thing stood out immediately: Jack's selenium levels were dangerously low. Now, selenium is a trace mineral most men never think about, but it plays a critical role in how we think, move, and feel. It powers thyroid hormones, which control metabolism, energy, mood, and brain function. And just as importantly, selenium is essential for testosterone production. I gave Jack a simple assignment: eat one Brazil nut every morning. Not a supplement, not a complicated plan, just one nut. 3 weeks later, he was a new man. His eyes were brighter, he spoke with more energy, and with a grin he said, "Dr. Elena, I don't know what's in that nut, but I feel alive again." That's the power of Brazil nuts. Just one nut contains more than 130% of your daily selenium needs. And unlike synthetic pills, the selenium in Brazil nuts is natural and highly absorbable. It also supports nerve health by maintaining the myelin sheath, the protective layer that keeps your reflexes sharp and your movement coordinated. 2. Almonds, the bone and brain defender. Almonds always remind me of my father. Every morning, like clockwork, he'd sit by the window with a warm cup of tea and a small bowl of raw almonds. He'd crack them slowly, chew with intention, and say, "These little things are keeping me sharp." Back then, I didn't fully understand what he meant, but now, after decades in medicine, I know he was right. Almonds are more than a snack. For men over 60, they're a quiet force of protection, especially for your bones and your brain. As we age, bone density naturally declines. Almonds are rich in calcium, but what makes them truly special is their magnesium. Magnesium acts like a traffic controller, directing calcium into your bones where it belongs, instead of letting it clog your arteries. And then there's your brain. Almonds, especially when eaten with the skin on, contain flavonoids and vitamin E, two antioxidants that work together to fight the oxidative stress that damages brain cells. Studies suggest that regular almond intake may slow down cognitive decline and protect against age-related memory loss. I usually recommend 15 to 20 almonds a day, raw or dry roasted, unsalted, chewed slowly and mindfully. It's not just a snack, it's an investment in your clarity, your balance, and your independence. 3. Walnuts, the brain's favorite food. I once had a patient named Harold, a retired music teacher in his 70s. He had recently lost his wife and was quietly struggling, forgetting names, misplacing his keys, even getting confused driving home from familiar places. During one of our visits, he opened a kitchen cabinet and pulled out a small jar. Inside were walnuts. He looked at me and said, "I read somewhere they're good for the brain, and they kind of look like a brain, don't they?" He gave a little laugh, but he was right, more right than he knew. Walnuts are a miracle from nature, especially for aging minds. They're rich in alpha-linolenic acid, a plant-based omega-3 that helps preserve the flexibility of brain cell membranes. As we age, these membranes tend to stiffen, slowing down communication between neurons. Walnuts are also loaded with polyphenols, powerful antioxidants that cross the blood-brain barrier and help reduce neural inflammation, one of the root causes of dementia and cognitive decline. And they contain natural melatonin, which can help restore the deep, restorative sleep that becomes harder to find as we grow older. Harold began eating a handful of walnuts each night. Within a month, he told me he felt more alert, more grounded. "It's not just my memory, Dr. Elena," he said. "I feel like I'm slowly coming back to myself." I recommend 7 to 9 walnut halves daily, preferably raw and eaten with the skin. That's where many of the healing compounds live. 4. Pistachios, the blood pressure, vision, and sugar stabilizer. When I think of pistachios, I think of my grandfather. Every afternoon, like clockwork, he'd sit in his old wooden chair by the kitchen window with a bowl of pistachios in his lap. He'd crack each one open slowly, quietly, almost like a ritual. Back then, I thought it was just a quirky habit, but now I understand. He was doing something incredibly wise without even knowing it. Pistachios are one of the most underrated nuts, especially for men over 60. They're packed with potassium, more per serving than most fruits, and that's key for relaxing blood vessels and naturally lowering blood pressure. But pistachios offer more than heart protection. They're rich in lutein and zeaxanthin, two powerful antioxidants that concentrate in the retina and help filter out harmful blue light. These nutrients play a critical role in preserving vision and slowing age-related macular degeneration. Even more impressive, Pistachios support blood sugar stability, with about 3 grams of fiber per ounce and a low glycemic index. They help slow digestion and reduce post-meal sugar spikes, ideal for anyone managing pre-diabetes or type 2 diabetes. I recommend 1 ounce per day, about 49 nuts, unsalted or lightly salted, and always kept fresh. Final, doctor's message. After decades of sitting across from men in their 60s, 70s, even 80s, I've seen one truth over and over again. It's not age that breaks us down, it's the little habits we repeat. Today, we uncovered 4 nuts to avoid: peanuts, cashews, macadamia, and pine nuts, and 4 to embrace: Brazil nuts, almonds, walnuts, and pistachios. These aren't just snacks, they're signals to your body that you're ready to heal. If this message helped you or someone you love, consider supporting more senior-focused health content like this. Every bit makes a difference. Remove these words.